Captain June Kim rubbed his tired eyes as he stared at the large screen on the bridge of the Earthship, Vigilant Dawn. The small observation vessel had been stationed at the edge of the Tellan system for 3 weeks now. Their job was simple. Watch and report. Earth had promised to stay neutral in the war between the Craxians and the Tellans. "Captain, incoming transmission from the hospital ship Mercy Star," said Lieutenant Minji Park from her communication station. Her voice sounded worried. "Put it through," June ordered, standing up straighter. The face of a human doctor appeared on screen. Her uniform showed she worked for the Galactic Alliance Medical Corps. "This is Dr. Han of the GA hospital ship, Mercy Star. We are carrying over 3,000 wounded from both sides of the conflict. We have completed our mission in the Tellan system and are preparing to jump to neutral space. Just checking in with all observation posts." June nodded. "We see you, Doctor. Safe travels." The doctor smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. They were tired from too many hours of surgery. "Thank you, Captain. Mercy Star out." The screen went dark. June watched as the large hospital ship moved slowly across the tactical display. It was clearly marked with bright red medical symbols on its white hull. No one would mistake it for a military vessel. "Sir," called out the sensor officer. "3 Craxian warships just dropped out of FTL. They're approaching the hospital ship." June frowned. "That's unusual. Open a channel to the Craxian lead ship." Minji worked at her console. "Channel open, sir. Craxian vessels. This is Captain June Kim of the Earth observation ship Vigilant Dawn. The vessel in your path is a clearly marked Galactic Alliance hospital ship protected under Section 7 of the Galactic Accords. Please adjust your course." For a long moment there was no answer. Then a harsh voice replied. "Earth vessel, this is Commander Vrak of the Craxian Empire. This matter does not concern you. Return to your observation duties." The signal cut off. "Sir," said the tactical officer, "the Craxian ships are charging weapons." June's heart began to race. "Send an emergency signal to the hospital ship. Tell them to get out of there now." The bridge crew rushed to obey, but they all knew the Mercy Star was too big and too slow to escape quickly. "Captain, we need to help them," said First Officer Jin. June shook his head sadly. "We can't. We have strict orders not to engage. The Vigilant Dawn is an observation ship, not a warship. We have no weapons that could stop 3 Craxian battlecruisers. They're targeting the engines," reported the tactical officer, her voice shaking. June grabbed the comm. "Craxian vessels. The ship you are targeting contains your own wounded soldiers. This is a violation of every rule of war. Stand down immediately." The only response was the flash of Craxian weapons fire. The entire bridge crew of the Vigilant Dawn watched in horror as bright green beams struck the hospital ship's engines. The Mercy Star tried to send out distress calls, but the Craxians jammed their communications. "Record everything," June ordered, his voice tight with anger. "The galaxy needs to see this." For 5 terrible minutes they watched as the Craxian ships methodically destroyed the hospital ship. They targeted the engines first, then the communication arrays, and finally the main body of the ship. There was no chance for escape pods to launch. When it was over, nothing remained of the Mercy Star except scattered debris and a spreading cloud of frozen air and bodies. "Send a priority message to Earth Command and to Admiral Lee's flagship," June said, his face pale with shock and rage. "Include all sensor data and recordings." The bridge was silent as Minji composed the message. "Craxians have fired upon and destroyed GA hospital ship Mercy Star. No survivors. Awaiting orders." Admiral Hanseong Lee received the message aboard his flagship, the Steadfast. The small diplomatic fleet he commanded was 3 systems away, meeting with representatives from the Galactic Alliance. "Play the recording again," he ordered, his face grim. For the 3rd time, he watched as the Craxian ships destroyed the hospital ship. Each time, his anger grew deeper. "Sir," said his aide, "what should we do?" "Send the full recording to Earth." "Immediately," Hansong said, "and prepare the fleet for potential combat operations." On Earth, the United Earth Council gathered in their grand meeting hall in New Seoul. Representatives from all Earth nations sat in curved rows. watching the large screens as the recording from the Vigilant Dawn played. President Jiwoo Kang stood at the center of the room, her face showing no emotion as she watched the hospital ship's destruction. When the recording ended, she turned to face the council. The Craxian ambassador was summoned to explain this attack, she said. His ship has left Earth orbit without permission. I believe that tells us all we need to know about Craxian intentions. Defense Minister Subin Choi stood up. Madam President, the hospital ship carried 237 Earth medical personnel, along with doctors and nurses from 12 other species. They were there on a mission of mercy, treating wounded from both sides of the conflict. He paused, his voice growing harder. The Craxians have committed an act that violates not only galactic law but the most basic rules of warfare that humans have observed for centuries. President Kang nodded. For 3 years, Earth has maintained strict neutrality in the conflicts of our galactic neighbors. We have offered aid to all sides, promoted peace, and kept our military power restrained. She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of each council member. Today that changes. The Craxians have mistaken our restraint for weakness. They believe they can murder our people without consequences. The room was completely silent. I'm asking this council to authorize immediate military action against the Craxian Empire, President Kang continued. Not for revenge, but for justice. Not to conquer, but to show the galaxy that some lines cannot be crossed. The vote took less than 5 minutes. It was unanimous. As the council members filed out of the chamber, General Daehyun Cho approached. The President. How much of our force should we deploy? President Kang's eyes were cold. All of it. Across the solar system, the call went out. Earth's shipyards lit up with activity as vessels were prepared for battle. The 2nd, 4th, and 7th Earth defense fleets were mobilized, over 200 warships. On the flagship Indomitable, Lieutenant Do-hyun Song watched as crews loaded weapons and supplies. The ship had never been fully armed before. No one outside Earth had ever seen what their warships could really do. I can't believe this is happening, said Ensign Yoon-ha-yoon, standing beside him. I never thought we would actually go to war. Do-hyun nodded slowly. This isn't just another peacekeeping mission. The Craxians thought we were weak because we value peace. Now they will learn what happens when humans are pushed too far. Admiral Ji-hoon Ryu addressed the gathered fleet commanders from the bridge of the Indomitable. His face appeared on screens throughout the fleet. Today we answer the most terrible of calls, he said. Not for land or resources or power, but because there are some acts that demand response. We go to bring justice, not vengeance. Remember that difference in the days ahead. Within 24 hours, the Earth fleet was ready. One by one, the massive ships disappeared into FTL, heading toward Craxian space. The galaxy was about to learn why humans were called the most dangerous species in the known universe. 3 days after the hospital ship was destroyed, the Earth fleet moved through space with deadly purpose. Admiral Ji-hoon Ryu stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching the stars streak by outside the massive windows. His ship led the fleet of Earth vessels now heading toward Craxian space. Admiral, all ships report ready for combat, said Commander Haisu Kwan, his communications officer. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed her anger. She had lost a cousin who served as a doctor on the Mercy Star. Ji-hoon nodded. Thank you, Commander. How long until we reach the edge of Craxian territory? 6 hours, sir. The Admiral walked to the tactical display in the center of the bridge. It showed the positions of all Earth ships in the fleet. Never before had Earth sent so many warships into battle at once. Since joining the galactic community 15 years ago, humans had been seen as peaceful explorers and traders. Other species knew Earth had warships, but they had only seen them in peacekeeping missions or parades. No one knew what these ships could really do. That was about to change. Lieutenant Gill sat at the weapons station, running checks on the ship's systems. All weapons are charged and ready, sir. Point defense systems are online. Good, Ji-hoon said. Let's hope we won't need to use them all. Captain Mina Yu approached the Admiral. As the Indomitable's captain, she was responsible for the ship. while Jihoon commanded the entire fleet. "The crew is ready, Admiral," she said quietly, "but many of them have never seen actual combat." "I know," Jihoon replied. "Neither have most of our officers, including me. We've trained for it, but training is different from the real thing." Mina nodded. "The Craxians have been fighting the Tellans for 3 years. They have experience we lack." "True," Jihoon said. "But they don't know what our ships can do. Earth has kept our best technology secret. Today they'll find out why." Far away on Earth, President Jiwoo Kang sat in the underground command center beneath New Seoul. Around her, staff monitored communications from the fleet. The room was filled with screens, showing ship positions and status reports. Defense Minister Subin Choi stood beside her chair. "Madam President, the fleet will reach Craxian space in 6 hours. Once they arrive, there's no turning back." Jiwoo stared at the main screen showing Admiral Ryu's fleet. "I know, Subin, but they left us no choice." "The Galactic Alliance has called an emergency meeting," Subin said. "Many species are upset that we're taking military action without their approval." Jiwoo's face hardened. They were upset, but not upset enough to do anything when the Craxians destroyed a hospital ship. "Tell our ambassador to remind them of that fact." The door opened and Foreign Minister Taeho Park hurried in, his face worried. "Madam President, we just received a message from the Craxian Emperor." Jiwoo raised her eyebrows. "After 3 days of silence, now they want to talk? Put it on screen." The main display changed to show the face of Emperor Vrax of the Craxian Empire. His gray skin was wrinkled with age, and his 4 eyes blinked nervously. "President Kang," he said, his translator making his harsh language sound smooth. "I wish to express my regret over the unfortunate incident with your medical vessel." "Unfortunate incident?" Jiwoo repeated coldly. "Your ships deliberately destroyed a clearly marked hospital ship carrying wounded from both sides of your war, including your own soldiers." Emperor Vrax blinked rapidly. "There has been a terrible misunderstanding. The commander who ordered this attack acted without authorization. He has been punished." "How convenient," Jiwoo said. "And your ambassador fled Earth because—" "Another misunderstanding?" Vrax insisted. "He received urgent orders to return home. Now I suggest we discuss how to resolve this situation peacefully. Perhaps if Earth accepted some form of payment—" "This is not about money," Jiwoo interrupted. "This is about justice. 3,000 beings died on that ship, including hundreds of medical personnel from Earth and other worlds who were there to help the wounded, including your people." Vrax's expression darkened. "What do you want then?" "The officers and officials who planned and ordered this attack must face trial before a Galactic Alliance court," Jiwoo said firmly. "Your empire must admit its crime publicly and accept whatever penalties the court assigns." All 4 of Vrax's eyes narrowed. "You ask too much, human. The Craxian Empire does not submit to foreign courts." "Then we have nothing more to discuss," Jiwoo said. "Our fleet will continue its mission." "You are making a grave mistake," Vrax hissed. "The Craxian military is the strongest in this sector. Your ships will be destroyed." Jiwoo leaned forward. "You attacked a hospital ship because you thought Earth was weak. You're about to learn how wrong you were." She signaled to cut the transmission. The screen went dark. "He's scared," Subin observed. "He should be," Jiwoo replied. On the indomitable Admiral Jihoon received a new message from Earth Command. He read it quickly, then turned to his officers. "The diplomatic option has failed," he announced. "The Craxians refuse to accept responsibility or justice. We are to proceed as planned." Around him, the officers nodded grimly. None of them wanted war, but the Craxians had left them no choice. "All ships, prepare to exit FTL in 15 minutes, Jihoon ordered. "We'll emerge at these coordinates near the Craxian border station." The massive Earth fleet moved through space like a school of deadly fish. At exactly the same moment, over 200 ships dropped out of FTL and appeared at the edge of Craxian space. The Craxian border station was a large, ugly structure shaped like a spiked wheel. It was surrounded by 20 Craxian warships, their standard border patrol. On the Craxian command ship, Admiral Zecht stared in shock at his sensor display. Impossible, he whispered. There are over 200 Earth vessels. His second-in-command looked terrified. Our intelligence said they only had a small defensive fleet. Open a channel to the lead Earthship, Zekt ordered, trying to keep his voice steady. Commander Haisu Quan looked up from her console. Admiral, the Craxians are hailing us. Ji-hoon straightened his uniform. On screen, the face of a Craxian officer appeared. This is Admiral Zekt of the Craxian Empire. You have entered restricted space. State your business. Ji-hoon's voice was cold and steady. This is Admiral Ji-hoon Ryu of the United Earth Navy. Your forces destroyed a hospital, ship containing Earth medical personnel. This was an act of war against humanity. We demand the immediate surrender of all military vessels responsible and the Craxian High Command to face justice for war crimes. Zekt's face showed his surprise. I have no authority to— You have 1 hour to comply, Ji-hoon interrupted. After that we will take action. He signaled to cut the transmission. Do you think they'll surrender? Captain Mina asked quietly. Ji-hoon shook his head. No, but we had to give them the chance. He turned to face the tactical display. All ships move into Formation Alpha. Prepare defensive systems. They will attack before the hour is up. That's the Craxian way. The Earth ships moved with perfect precision, forming a curved wall of steel and technology. On every bridge, crews prepared for battle. Sir, called out the sensor officer on the Indomitable, the Craxian ships are powering up weapons. Ji-hoon wasn't surprised. All ships, shields at maximum, weapons ready, but hold fire until I give the order. The first Craxian shots flashed across space heading toward the Earth fleet. So that's their answer, Ji-hoon said grimly. All ships, weapons free. Primary targets are military installations only. Minimize civilian casualties. The Earth fleet responded, and the battle for justice began. The Craxian missiles streaked across space toward the Earth fleet. Admiral Ji-hoon Ryu watched calmly from the bridge of the Indomitable. Around him, his crew tensed, waiting for impact. Point defense systems active, Lieutenant Gill announced. What happened next shocked the watching Craxians. Small ports opened all over the Earthships. Thousands of tiny drones swarmed out, moving faster than the eye could follow. They intercepted the Craxian missiles, destroying them long before they reached the Earthships. Not a single missile got through. Admiral Zekt stared at his screen in disbelief. Impossible. Fire again. All weapons. The Craxian ships launched everything they had. Again, the Earth defensive drones destroyed every missile and energy blast. Now it's our turn, Ji-hoon said quietly. Target their weapon systems only. Disable. Don't destroy. Across the Earth fleet, ships fired precise beams of blue energy. The beams sliced through Craxian shields like they weren't even there. Weapon systems on the Craxian ships exploded or simply stopped working. In less than 3 minutes, all 20 Craxian border ships were floating helplessly in space, unable to fight but with life support still functioning. Send the message to all Craxian frequencies, Ji-hoon ordered. Commander Haisu's voice was broadcast across the entire sector. This is the Earth fleet. We have disabled your border forces without taking lives. We seek justice, not bloodshed. Surrender those responsible for the hospital ship attack, or we will proceed to your military headquarters. In the Craxian Imperial Palace on Crax Prime, Emperor Vrax was shouting at his generals. How is this possible? You told me Earth ships were weak. General Draz, the head of Craxian military intelligence, looked terrified. Our information was wrong, Emperor. Earth has been hiding their true technology. Their weapons cut through our best shields. Their defenses stopped everything we fired. Send all available ships to stop them, Vrax ordered. But Emperor, another general protested, if we pull ships from the Tellan front, we could lose the war there. Vrax slammed his fist down. If we don't stop the humans, there won't be an empire left to win wars. Send everything we have back. On the Indomitable, the sensor officer called out, Admiral, we're detecting large numbers of Craxian ships heading our way from all directions. They're pulling forces from their war with the Tellans. Ji-hoon nodded. As expected, All ships maintain formation and continue forward. Next target is their military space station in the Garax system. The Earth fleet moved deeper into Craxian space. They traveled in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming under the light of distant stars. "Sir," said Captain Mina, "the Craxians are gathering over 300 ships to intercept us." "They still think this is about numbers," Jihoon replied. "Have they responded to our message?" "No, sir," Hisu said. "Just threats and demands that we leave their space." Jihoon sighed. "Then we continue to demonstrate our resolve." 2 hours later, the Earth fleet approached the massive Craxian military station in the Garax system. It was a fortress in space, bristling with weapons and surrounded by 60 Craxian warships. "All ships prepare for combat," Jihoon ordered. "Remember our mission. We target military assets only, not civilian areas of the station." The Craxians didn't wait. They opened fire immediately, launching hundreds of missiles and energy weapons. Once again, the Earth fleet's defenses proved impenetrable. The defensive, drones destroyed incoming fire with perfect efficiency. "Return fire," Jihoon commanded. "Target pattern Delta." Earth ships fired in a synchronized pattern. Their weapons struck with surgical precision, destroying weapon emplacements and engine systems while leaving crew quarters and civilian areas untouched. On the Craxian station, Commander Krell watched in horror as his defenses failed. What are these humans? How can they be so precise? Within 20 minutes, the entire Craxian defense fleet was disabled. The space station's weapons were destroyed, but the station itself remained intact. "Open a channel," Jihoon ordered. Commander Hisu nodded. "Channel open, sir." Craxian Station. "This is Admiral Ryu. Your defenses are neutralized. We have deliberately avoided civilian casualties. Surrender your station and provide the locations of those responsible for the hospital ship attack." Commander Krell's voice came back, shaking with fear and rage. "How are you doing this? No species has weapons like yours." "We kept our true capabilities hidden," Jihoon explained calmly. "Earth values peace, but we are prepared for war. Will you surrender?" There was a long pause. I cannot surrender without orders from the Emperor." "Then we will continue to your next military installation. Evacuate any civilians from military targets if you wish to avoid casualties." On Earth, President Jiwoo watched the reports coming in from the fleet. Defense Minister Subin stood beside her. "The fleet has disabled 2 major Craxian military bases without a single Earth casualty," Subin reported. "The Craxians are in shock." Jiwoo nodded. "And the Galactic Alliance? They're stunned too. Many representatives are now supporting our action after seeing the precision of our attacks. We're targeting only military installations and avoiding civilian casualties. That has impressed them." "Good," Jiwoo said. "The galaxy needs to understand that Earth can fight when necessary, but we fight with restraint and purpose." Back in space, the Earth fleet continued its advance toward Crax Prime, the Craxian homeworld. More Craxian ships arrived to block their path, now nearly 500 vessels. "That's their entire fleet," Captain Mina observed. "They've abandoned their war with the Tellans to face us." Jihoon studied the tactical display. "They still don't understand. They think if they gather enough ships, they can overwhelm us." Massive Craxian armada formed a wall across the Earth fleet's path. Admiral Varkon, the supreme commander of all Craxian forces, sent a message. "Earth fleet, this is your last warning. Turn back now or be destroyed. You face the might of the entire Craxian navy." Admiral Jihoon looked at the faces of his bridge crew. They were calm and determined. "Send our reply," he ordered. Commander Hayasu opened the channel. "This is Admiral Ryu. We will not turn back until justice is served. For the last time, surrender those responsible for the hospital ship attack." "Never," came the reply. Jihoon sighed. "Then we have no choice. All ships, initiate Operation Shieldbreaker." Across the Earth fleet, a new weapon system activated. A wave of energy, invisible to the eye but clear on sensors, rippled out from the Earth ships. When it reached the Craxian fleet, every ship suddenly lost power. Engines, weapons, shields, Everything shut down at once. 500 Craxian warships drifted helplessly in space. What did we just do to them? Asked a young officer on the bridge. Quantum disruption field, Lieutenant Gill explained. It temporarily disables all power systems. They'll restart in about an hour, but by then we'll be past them. The Earth fleet moved forward, passing between the powerless Craxian ships like a river flowing around rocks. Set course for Crax Prime, Admiral Jihoon ordered. It's time to end this. On his private communication channel, Emperor Vrax watched in horror as the Earth fleet approached his homeworld. For the first time, he began to understand the terrible mistake he had made when he ordered the attack on the hospital ship. Crax Prime filled the main view screen of the Indomitable. The Craxian homeworld was a large planet with 3 small moons. Massive cities could be seen from orbit, along with the glow of industrial areas. Admiral Jihoon Ryu studied the planet carefully. All ships maintain position. No one fires without my direct order. The Earth fleet formed a ring around Crax Prime, just outside the range of the planet's defense systems. With the Craxian space fleet disabled, the planet was effectively surrounded. Open a channel to the Imperial Palace, Jihoon ordered. Commander Haisu worked at her console. Channel open, sir. Emperor Vrax, this is Admiral Ryu of the Earth Fleet. Your space forces have been neutralized. We now demand the immediate surrender of those responsible for ordering the attack on the hospital ship Mercy Star. You have 2 hours to comply, or we will disable your planetary defense systems and send ground forces to apprehend them ourselves. There was a long pause before Emperor Vrax responded. His voice sounded tired and defeated. Admiral Ryu, I request a private channel. Jihoon raised an eyebrow in surprise, but nodded to Hisu. Switching to private channel. The Emperor's face appeared on Jihoon's personal screen. The Craxian leader looked much older than he had just days ago. Admiral, he said quietly, there is something you should know. The attack on your hospital ship, it was not what it seemed. Jihoon's expression hardened. Explain. I have sent you a data file, Vrax said. Review it before you take further action, for the sake of both our peoples. The transmission ended. Sir, said Lieutenant Gill, we've received a large encrypted file from the Emperor's personal system. Scan it for viruses or traps, Jihoon ordered. After a few minutes, the security team confirmed the file was safe. Jihoon gathered his senior officers in the conference room to review its contents. This is unexpected, Captain Mina said as she read through the data. The file contained internal Craxian communications and sensor logs from multiple ships. They showed that the weapons signature from the attack on the Mercy Star didn't match standard Craxian weapons. Could this be fake? Jihoon asked. Commander Minjun Yu, the intelligence officer, shook his head. The encryption and verification codes are authentic. This came directly from the Emperor's secure archives. If the Craxians didn't attack the hospital ship, who did? Lieutenant Gill asked. Jihoon frowned. And why would someone want to make it look like the Craxians did it? To provoke exactly this response, Captain Mina realized. To make Earth attack the Craxian Empire. While the fleet held position around Crax Prime, a small team led by Commander Minjun took a stealth shuttle to the planet's surface. With the Emperor's reluctant permission, they entered the Imperial military archives. We need to find everything related to the hospital ship incident, Minjun told his team, and any intelligence about who might want to frame the Craxians. For 6 hours, they searched through Craxian military records. What they found was disturbing. Sir, one of the analysts called out, I found something strange. 3 days before the hospital ship attack, a Craxian scout ship detected an unknown vessel near the Tellan border. It was using some kind of cloaking technology, but briefly appeared on sensors. Minjun looked at the data. Can we identify it? Not definitively, but the energy signature suggests Voth technology. Minjun's eyes widened. The Voth were a secretive species from a distant sector. They rarely interacted with other species, but were known for their advanced technology. Keep looking, he ordered. Find any other references to Voth activity. By the time they returned to the Indomitable, they had a troubling picture. For the past year, Craxian intelligence had detected several possible Voth ships on the edges of their territory. Each time, the ships disappeared before they could be identified for certain. Admiral, Minjun reported to Jihoon, we believe the Voth may have been manipulating both the Craxians and Tellans for some time. They may have attacked the hospital ship to provoke a conflict between Earth and the Craxian Empire. Jihoon frowned, deeply. But why? What would the Voth gain from this? The Craxian intelligence analysts have a theory, Minjun explained. The Voth see both Earth and the Craxian Empire as potential rivals in this sector. If we destroyed each other, or weakened ourselves in a war, the Voth could expand their influence. Meanwhile, Captain Sungho Park of the science vessel Enlightenment had been leading a team examining debris from the destroyed hospital ship. Earth had sent several science ships to collect and analyze the wreckage. Admiral Ryu, Sungho reported, via video link, we've confirmed that the weapon signatures from the hospital ship attack don't match known Craxian technology. The energy pattern is different. Can you identify whose weapons they do match? Jihoon asked. Not with complete certainty, Sungho admitted. But the signature is similar to some readings our deep space probes recorded from ships on the edge of Voth space last year. Jihoon shared a troubled look with his officers. So the Craxians may be telling the truth. They didn't attack the hospital ship. It appears that way, sir, Sungho confirmed. The attack was made to look like Craxian weapons, but the evidence suggests otherwise. On Earth, President Jiwoo Kang received the disturbing news. She immediately called an emergency meeting of her Security Council. If this is true, Defense Minister Subin said, we've nearly started a war with the wrong enemy. Not entirely wrong, Foreign Minister Taiho pointed out. The Craxians have still been aggressive in their expansion. They've caused problems for many species, but they may not have attacked our hospital ship. President Jiwoo's face was grim. We need to be absolutely certain before we change course. If the Voth are behind this, they've been planning it carefully. They wanted us to destroy the Craxian Empire for them. What do we do now? Asked Subin. First, we verify everything, Jiwoo said firmly. I want absolute proof. Then, if the Craxians truly didn't attack our ship, we pivot our mission. Instead of punishing the Craxians, we find who really did this and hold them accountable. She turned to her communications officer. Contact Admiral Ryu. Tell him to maintain position but take no further aggressive action until we have confirmation. Back on the Indomitable, Admiral Jihoon called his senior officers together after receiving the President's message. We have new orders, he announced. We maintain our position around Crax Prime, but we focus on investigation, not punishment. We need to find the truth. What if this is just a Craxian trick? Lieutenant Gill asked. That's why we're going to keep looking, until we're certain, Jihoon replied. And we're going to ask for help. He turned to Commander Hayasu. Contact the Galactic Alliance. We need their best investigators and analysts. If someone has manipulated us into nearly starting a war, they won't stop with one attempt. Next time, they might succeed. As the officers left to carry out their new orders, Jihoon remained alone on the bridge, staring at the image of Crax Prime. He had come seeking justice for a terrible crime. Now he wasn't sure who the real criminals were. We will find who did this, he promised quietly. And they will learn that tricking humanity is even more dangerous than attacking us directly. 3 days after surrounding Crax Prime, the Earth fleet remained in position. But now they had allies. Ships from 12 Galactic Alliance species had arrived to help with the investigation. Among them was the Tellan flagship Truth Seeker, commanded by Admiral Zarn of the Tellan Republic. Admiral Jihoon Ryu met with the Galactic Alliance representatives aboard the Indomitable. The large conference room was filled with beings of different shapes, sizes, and colors. Emperor Vrax was also present, looking uncomfortable among his former enemies. Thank you all for coming, Jihoon began. We believe we face a common threat. One that has been manipulating us against each other. A holographic display in the center of the table showed the evidence they had gathered. Commander Minjun presented the findings from the Craxian archives. Captain Sungho showed the analysis of the hospital ship debris. The weapon signatures match Voth technology, Sungho explained, but they were modified to look like Craxian weapons. Admiral Zarn of the Tellans leaned forward. We have detected similar unknown ships near our borders. We thought they were Craxian scouts. Emperor Vrax shook his head. And we thought they were your spies. The Voth have been playing us against each other, Jehun said, but why? The Galactic Alliance investigator, a tall, blue-skinned being named Senior Inspector Calls, activated his own data display. We believe we have found the answer. For the past 5 years, the Voth hegemony has been secretly expanding their territory. They have taken over 17 systems on the far side of their space, away from the major powers. While we have been focused on fighting each other, Admiral Zarn realized. Exactly, Calls continued, but Earth's rapid response to the hospital ship attack was not what they expected. They thought Earth would either do nothing or launch a full-scale war that would devastate both sides. Instead, we demonstrated power with restraint, Jehun said. We showed we could defeat the Craxian military without destroying their civilization. Emperor Vrax looked at Jehun with newfound respect. When your fleet surrounded my homeworld, I expected you to bombard it into dust. That's what we would have done. That's not how humans wage war, Jehun replied. We fight when necessary, but we try to minimize suffering. We target military assets, not civilians. The Voth miscalculated, Inspector Calls said. Now we need to decide how to respond to their manipulation. President Jiwoo Kang addressed the Galactic Alliance Council from Earth. Representatives from over 300 species watched as she presented the evidence of Voth involvement. The attack on the hospital ship Mercy Star was a deliberate attempt to provoke war between Earth and the Craxian Empire, she explained. The Voth hoped we would destroy each other, allowing them to expand their influence. The Voth representative, a tall reptilian being with cold eyes, denied everything. These accusations are baseless. The Voth hegemony has no interest in your petty conflicts. We have proof, Jiwoo said firmly. She nodded to her aide, who transmitted the final piece of evidence. The main screen showed a recording from a tiny probe that Earth intelligence had sent into Voth space. It showed a Voth military base where ships identical to the one that attacked the hospital ship were docked. These ships match the energy signature of the vessel that destroyed the Mercy Star, Jiwoo said, and our intelligence indicates the Voth are preparing for further provocations against other species. The Galactic Council erupted in angry shouts directed at the Voth representative. We propose a joint operation, Jiwoo continued when order was restored. Earth, Craxian, and Tellan forces with Galactic Alliance oversight will secure the Voth military installations responsible for these acts of aggression. We will apprehend those who ordered the attack on the hospital ship and bring them to justice. The vote was overwhelming. The Council authorized immediate action against the Voth conspirators. 2 weeks later, a combined fleet of Earth, Craxian, and Tellan ships approached the Voth military base. It was the largest joint operation in the history of the sector. Admiral Jehun stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, with Admiral Zarn of the Tellans and General Draz of the Craxians beside him. Former enemies now fought together against a common threat. The Voth are powering up their defenses, Lieutenant Gill reported. As expected, Jehun said calmly. Open a channel. Commander Hisu nodded. Channel open, sir. Voth Command, this is Admiral Ryu of the Joint Galactic Alliance Task Force. You are ordered to surrender and turn over those responsible for the attack on the hospital ship Mercy Star. This action has been authorized by the Galactic Council. The Voth commander appeared on screen, his reptilian face showing no emotion. We do not recognize your authority. Leave our space immediately or be destroyed. We expected that answer, Jehun said to his allies after closing the channel. Begin Operation Unity. The Earth ships moved forward first, using their advanced defenses to absorb the Voth fire. The Craxian ships followed, their powerful weapons targeting the Voth defense systems. The Tellan vessels provided support, using their advanced sensors to identify weak points. Working together, they breached the Voth defenses in under an hour. Earth Special Forces, led by Commander Minjun, boarded the base, and captured the Voth military leaders. Among the data they recovered was the complete plan to pit the major powers against each other. The architect of the plan was Voth Admiral Zeal, Minjun reported. He's been apprehended and will face the Galactic Council for crimes against peace. 1 month later, Admiral Jihoon attended a memorial service for those lost on the Mercy Star. The ceremony was held on a beautiful garden world that had been set aside as neutral territory. Representatives from Earth, the Craxian Empire, the Tellan Republic, and dozens of other species gathered to honor the fallen. President Jiwoo unveiled a simple monument, a stone pillar with the names of all 3,000 beings who had died on the hospital ship. Today we remember those who gave their lives in service to peace, she said. Their deaths nearly triggered a war. Instead, they have brought us together in ways we never expected. Emperor Vrax stepped forward and placed a Craxian memorial wreath at the base of the monument. The Craxian Empire has much to atone for. While we did not attack the hospital ship, our aggressive actions helped create the conditions that made such manipulation possible. Today, we pledge to work for peace. After by the ceremony, Admiral Jihoon stood with Commander Heisu, looking at the monument. Was it worth it? She asked quietly. We showed the galaxy 2 crucial things about humanity, Jihoon replied. First, that we will respond with overwhelming force when innocents are targeted. Second, that we temper that force with mercy and justice. That's the paradox of humanity the galaxy needed to understand. Heisu nodded. And now 3 former enemies are working together. That's the unexpected gift that came from tragedy, Jihoon said. The Voth thought they could use our differences to destroy us. Instead, they brought us together. As the sun set over the memorial garden, representatives of many species mingled together, talking and sharing stories of those they had lost. It was a small start, but an important one. The hospital ship Mercy Star was gone, but its mission of healing continued in a different way. The peace it helped create would save far more lives than were lost on that terrible day when someone fired on a hospital ship, and Earth answered with a fleet of fury that turned into a force for justice.